Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. It's not often that we can claim to have a real success story, but this week it happened. Actually, today is Saturday, so during the week I decided to begin to print and do sublimation basically. And so for that, I would have to revive my Epson Workforce 1100. Remember, for sublimation, you need a printer that allows you not only to refill and use third-party type cartridges, but also it has to be a cold firing printhead or piezo crystal printhead. And Epson is the one that has that technology, as well as Ricoh. I believe they use Epson printheads. And so my 1100, although I do have other printers, that was already set up for sublimation. So I said, what the heck, let me just go ahead and revive it and begin printing and create some mugs. As you may know, my grandson is an avid gamer, so he actually has a YouTube channel that I created for him. What I did was I transferred my very few Spanish language videos over to my main channel. If you speak Spanish, you will find them periodically on a playlist called Aquí se habla impresoras, or Here we speak about printers in English. So once I depleted all of the videos and deleted them, I changed the name of the channel to suit him. And so now he wants merch. And in order to create merch, the easiest way is to use sublimation transfer type process, make a few t-shirts, some mugs, that sort of thing. So what better printer than the one that I was already using to create these types of products? Let me show you. I made this for him during the last Halloween. It's aluminum. And as you can see, it's just a little bit of a graphic of some kids trick-or-treating and heading over to the castle right here. Anyway, you can see how brilliant that looks. It looks fantastic. It's a fantastic process to use. I did this one of my wife. I believe those are azaleas over at our church. And so again, on aluminum, cheap little frame, no problem. As long as the transfer is good, you don't have to worry about using a fancy frames just to make something look better than it is. Not necessary. How about glass? Well, if you can find coated glass substrate, basically it's coated with polyester clear resin, you can create stuff like this. This is actually regular glass. I got it off of a frame and I coated it myself. Not the best job in the world, but actually it did work, and that is indeed glass. And that's my grandson when he was little, the gamer. A viewer sent me these amazing pictures, and I keep showing these to you all, of these two Indian models, again in full dress. Aluminum, folks. So if you want to create stuff like that and you're interested in learning the process and you have a printer that you want to convert, feel free to check out my sublimation playlist. I have two of them. I walk you through all the basic processes. And so also I show you many of the products provided by the company Conde.com, and they, CONDE, they also have a YouTube channel where they walk you through all of the different steps, all of the different types of processes, all the different types of substrates. Everything is shown in that channel. And that's where I learned how to do what I have been doing. But now it's been about, what, a year and a half since I used that printer. So I haven't been practicing what I always preach. And the reason behind that is because I got involved with the Pro-1000, the Pro-1, and many other printers. And of course, life and the channel. I had, at that time, I believe I had about 20 printers to handle and take care of. So again, yeah, that one got forgotten. I had a sys unit installed to it because I got tired of resetting and refilling cartridges. Well, I have to go back to that now. The reason being is that after sitting there for a year and a half, don't worry, the success story is coming, folks. Hang in there. After sitting for a year and a half, I was wondering, why are my hoses, in other words, the ink lines, why do they look black? What the heck just happened? So I brought the printer from the back room out and put it right there and began to basically look at the situation. And I installed a driver. Luckily, the 1100 still has a driver for Windows 10. We have really good support, folks. That's why I use Windows operating system for EPSON printers and Canon printers. I can install a driver from 15 years ago and still works. Anyway, I don't want to get into operation system politics, but anyway, it works, and that's why I stick with it. So I plug in the USB to my computer, and I'm gonna just simply run a nozzle check. Well, the nozzle check was blank, nothing printed. Let me run some cleaning cycles. I knew I had ink in the system. That sys was half full. Nothing helped. Ink was simply not flowing. So I removed the whole unit, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me take this out. Actually, I can't take it out right now. I'll walk you through the situation, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but you guys will enjoy how I managed to revive that impossibly clogged printer. Why? Sublimation inks are crazy difficult to dissolve. Once they clog or coagulate or whatever it is that they do, it is nearly impossible. If I revive this printer, I can revive any other printer probably. Anyway, so first day, nothing printed. So I decided, okay, let's remove the sys unit. I had already told Precisioncolors to please send me some refillable cartridges. And I had another set that he originally sent me back when I set this up like 2 years ago. And I thought, well, should I even attempt to use those? They have sublimation ink in them, but I don't know. It's been sitting for over 2 years. Well, I looked at them. It looked fine. The colors were normal looking, whereas my ink lines were black. So what happens? I had to disconnect everything, and I ended up throwing away the tanks, throw away the ink lines and all of the connectors. And what I have is the set of dampers or cartridges with the chip resetter installed. And I also have another set right here of cartridges that have been refilled, and they are ready to be used. They're virgin, never used. And so I began the process of trying to revive this printer. And what did I use? Well, of course I use Windex. I'm out of it. Look, I'm empty. Windex mixed like half and half with something that Precisioncolors turned me on to. Okay? LA, totally awesome. Okay, you get this at any dollar store in your area. So about half and half solution of that. And I proceeded to attempt to do the basic soaking using paper towels and soak it with the solution. I even made a hot solution and bring the printhead over the soak strips of paper toweling. And in order to do that, of course, you know the drill. If you do not know, I'll tell you. You turn off the printer, you let the printhead park, you turn it back on, and the minute it begins to move, the printhead that is unlocks and begins to make a move toward the left, you pull the plug. That way the printhead now is unlocked and you can slide it any position you want. So once I soaked that strip, and basically what I did was this. Let me just walk you through step by step. Here's my paper towels. I had them hidden. Look, I used to have about half a roll. Okay? So the half, oh boy, I'm empty, literally. The half strips or half sheets are the best thing to use. So simply for this particular printer, because it has a pretty wide platen, in other words, where those sponges that are along the head travel live. So what I did was I folded it into fours, like so. So I made a strip yay wide. Okay, you might have to fold that into maybe 5 if you have a narrower platen. In other words, it'll fit. Okay, so then you soak this very well, and then you add basically with your fingers. You just make sure that it's nice and flat on that platen area, the region, and then slide the printhead over it. Make sure that it's not caught on the edge. So make sure, absolutely sure, this is actually really pressed tight down so that it clears the printhead when you slide it over. Slide it over the center and just let it sit there and keep soaking this pad that you created. At some point, you're going to see colors. In this case, nothing. Okay, nothing. All day long, nothing. Overnight, nothing. Until that evening. So that's already about a day and a half. I started midday, so nothing during that day. And then the following evening, I was able to get a syringe with a piece of tubing. This is just normal rubber tubing. This fits right over the stem of the print heads. The print heads on these printers, once you remove the cartridges, have vertical stems. So this can slide right over that stem. And with some of that same solution, and I heated it up this time, I tried to inject something. Nothing. I could not inject a thing. So I let it sit, all four of them. In other words, magenta, yellow, cyan, and black would not budge. Okay, so I let it sit again another day. So does the word patience mean anything to you? It should. And I am very short on patience this day and age. Okay, so I wait another day, and the next day I try again, and the yellow finally budged a little bit, and I was able to push a little bit, but more importantly, I was able to pull back, and all kinds of yellow crud came up into my syringe. I rinsed it out again over and over and over, very, very slowly. It took almost 6 days to do this. Okay, it's a long process. So again, rinse out the syringe, come back, repeat the process. I got the yellow to be relatively cleared out. Okay, I tried the magenta and the cyan, again, no budge. Then later on, the magenta and the cyan did indeed clear. But those two black channels, immovable. And so until Saturday. So Nathan was here Friday, okay? And I came down with a big trash bag. I was going to box that up in that trash bag and take it up to the front. I didn't do it. The reason being is that he was playing a game. And I didn't want to interrupt him because he's using the camera and everything. So I don't want to be back there messing around with printers. So I said, forget it. I'll do this. I'll throw it away later. I came down that evening. So that would be yesterday evening. And I attempted to do the black channels again. They have not budged a single micrometer of fluid entering that system. I decided to pull back, and by the way, sublimation black ink is brown. Dye black ink for regular printing is purple. Pigment black ink is fairly neutral black, but it still has a certain tint. So this is really odd, because the reason I say that is because Mike told me, I said to him, listen, you sent me some cartridges a long time ago that I was supposed to use on my 1100, but I decided to use Assist. And he said, check the color of the black. And I did, and it was brownish. So I figured, okay, you loaded these cartridges at his place with sublimation ink. And so that was for me to test initially my printer when I began to sublimate back in the day, okay? Like it's been that long. So I was able to then realize when I sucked back on the black, I got a bunch of fumes. Not fumes, but ink and crud going into my loaded fluid. Where did that come from? From internally inside the printhead, okay? So, I said, wow. Now, what about my second black channel? Same thing, it cleared out. So I rinsed out the syringe, loaded some more fluid, and then very, very gingerly and careful. Let me show you how fast, that fast. I was pumping fluid in and then sucking back. Rinse, come back, repeat. In and back. Rinse, change the paper toweling. over and over and over, okay? And so finally, as of yesterday evening, I got about a 90% nozzle check, which means that the three primary colors or secondary colors in this case, and the blacks had some lines missing. Some of the nozzles were either still with water, because after the treatment I used distilled water, which I have right here still, to rinse out all of the channels thoroughly. Again, very slowly, gingerly. I mean, at snail's pace, like that, very slow. You need a good syringe that will not get caught or give you a non-smooth action, if you will. So once I did that and I looked at my paper towels and I saw no more coloration of this product or the blue product, Windex, of course, I realized, okay, now I am just pushing water out. So without even letting it drain or anything of the sort, I went ahead and installed the cartridges with sublimation ink, cleaning cycle, followed by nozzle check. And the nozzle check was about 90%, like I said. I let it sit overnight. This was last night. And today, I printed this nozzle check. I don't know whether you can see that. Full black, full cyan, full magenta, and full yellow. Hooray, success. So now I can begin again to print sublimation or do sublimation transfers. I thought this was a goner, folks. It was going to the trash heap, okay? I was that close to doing it, and I thought, let me just give it another day and just see what happens. What else can I lose? I had on the sidelines, when I bought my original powerful computer like 15 years ago, I was given a free printer with my purchase. And it was an all-in-one CX7400, cute little all-in-one, letter size. It has even a scanner on it. And it happens to use the same cartridges this one does, the 69s. So several printers apparently use that 69 nomenclature. So again, I was getting ready to blow that printer and just simply install sublimation inks on it and sacrifice it basically. Now I'm so happy that I will not have to sacrifice that printer. But what I mean by that is that once you go sublimation, you cannot come back. You cannot. There's no way in God's green earth you're going to clean that well enough. Well, maybe you can if you go through the process I just went through. Maybe. But it is just not recommended. Sublimation inks are just so difficult. And the moral here, of course, like I always preach, I better print. I better print at least every other day on that printer. So I'm going to be producing lots of little cute projects. Again, stuff for my grandson, stuff for the family, stuff for me. I'm going to go back and dig up my supply of aluminum and begin to do some prints because I now have to keep that printer going. I am committed. I signed literally a contract with it. And so that is it. Again, I'm very happy that I was able to succeed with that printer. And so now I can either install another sys unit. I can just simply buy one. They're not easy to find, but they are out there if you look carefully. Or just live with the fact that I'll have to use this type of refillable cartridge. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. I will load sublimation ink into these little bottles. All you got to do is pull the plug, refill. These are auto priming cartridges. So again, there's no priming to be done. And when you install them before you begin to print, you better take the vent plug out. Okay, that is crucial. Otherwise, ink will simply not flow. And you'll be wondering what the heck happened. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed the success story. Again, the next thing I'm going to do, and I got it, R340. Let me see. Back there in that corner. I don't know if you can tell. I'll point at it right there. And that has sat probably much longer than this one did. I revived it once. I will refill those cartridges with regular dye ink, which I have from Precisioncolors. And before I do that, of course, I'm going to go ahead and perform the cleanings that I did for this one. The thing about this whole story is about how freaking tough Epson printheads are. Believe me, if that had been a Canon printer, and say I was using non-sublimation inks, because you can't on Canons, they use heat. You cannot use heat on sublimation inks. But if I had tried to do that with Canon printheads, I would have probably ruined them. The best thing to do with a Canon printer, unless you really know what you are doing, is to just install new printheads once they die or wear out during, just a lifespan, whatever that lifespan happens to be. You just simply replace them. That's why they make them replaceable, user replaceable. Epson printheads, however, no. Unless you're really good and you got a service manual to crack open that printer and disassemble whatever you need to disassemble to pull the printhead out, you are better off doing what I did. And believe me, the printhead can take it. I thought maybe I damaged it, and I was hoping that when I performed my initial tests after all of this, cleaning took place, that it would actually work. And it did. It took all the abuse that I gave it, and it is now revived, and now I'm ready to print sublimation. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And until the next time, don't give up on your Epson printers. Don't give up. They're easy. Not easy. I'm sorry. They are able to be revived if you simply have the patience of Job. You have to really take your time. And again, and don't lose your faith on them. Eventually they will come back to life if you just take your time. All right, thank you so much. Happy printing. Bye bye, everybody.